They tryna turn Trenton into Baby Flint. Been signs by depression on the billboards ever since. 100 years ago we was lynched. Now they use germ warfare to kill us. I'm convinced, got the evidence. I look around and it's evident. Then go down to City Hall and see so much negligence. Real art is intelligent. A true artist sends messages that speak to your intelligence. They fought and died so I can do my thing. Not to get drunk and high or join no gang. I will not let none of you die in vain. For my people I bang, bang, bang. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. I rep for you in everything I do. I rep for you in every place I go. I rep for you in everything I do. In every place I go. They say post-traumatic slavery disorder's fake, but I just tell them all to wake up. Everything we went through, what a way down a rape, bro. Isn't all genetic makeup. So I am my ancestors from block to block. Let's build like it's Tetris. We must unite, link up like a necklace. They fought and died and we disrespected. So I come to correct it. The legacy they left I protected. We only think about self and neglected. You're African but yet you rejected. No. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. I rep for you in everything I do. I rep for you in every place I go. I rep for you in everything I do. In every place I go. I do. I go.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace, peace, and blessings to you all. Welcome back to New Freedom Exchange exclusive Table Talks with Imam Bilal. I am live here on this beautiful Juma Friday, live here in the historical Atlanta Masjid al-Islam, and I hope and pray that everyone is having a great day so far and a great week. I am here with Brother Deen, who is working the cameras today behind the scenes. And we're here in Atlanta on a excursion here to do some on-the-spot interviews with some of our esteemed guests and get some exclusives for you all and bringing to you all live and direct here on this platform. So we're very happy to be here and utilize the space here. So thank you to the Masjid al-Islam for allowing us to utilize the space here in their library to conduct our first installment of the Table Talk conversation. So today we are blessed to have a very hard worker in the fashion industry, in the modesty fashion industry. Let me put it that way. The modest fashion industry, one of the, I would say young pioneering sisters who was holding it down for the Muslimahs. Very popular fashion. We've been following her on Instagram for a very long time, and we're honored to have her here for a brief period of time to talk to you all a little bit about the brand, some of it's how it began, and etc. So without no further ado, I would like to bring on our sister Hijabipop with us today, live here in Atlanta.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. So, sister, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you? I'm
well.
happy that you all are in the city.
Yes. We're very happy to be here, and we're very happy to be with you. So, if you could give us a little bit of your 30s. How would you describe yourself? Your 30-second elevator pitch. Who is Hijabipop?
Hijabipop is a modest wear lifestyle brand that was created by indigenous Muslim woman and designed and started with the Muslim woman in mind. So everything surrounding the branding is related to her lifestyle, her fashion, and what her standards are for the way she would dress, as well as her being included in the conversation for modest fashion or in the fashion industry, period. Because for a very long time, the woman who looked like what I look like was not included.
Now, what was the motivation to starting this brand? What was your motivation?
Again, being that Muslim girl from the city of Philadelphia, I think being from the city gave me the confidence because there are so many Muslims in Philadelphia. But prior to that, I lived in other cities, I lived in other states, and that confidence wasn't necessarily there in those other places. So I went through the pain and the struggles of being that girl who looked different from other people, had issues with finding clothing that fit me. Also going into stores, not feeling like I was a part of what that conversation was. And there came a point, I was about 15 years old. I remember going into one of the popular international Muslim stores. It's called El Amin's, or it used to be called El Amin's back in my day in Philadelphia on 52nd Street. And everything was either black, boxy,
no color,
no shape,
no.
And I mean,
no creativity.
And I was a very like colorful, bubbly young Muslim girl. So I just felt like this wasn't for me. Those options that I saw were literally the same options that everyone had. And then not only that, there were things that my mother would pick out. So I just felt like, where was what a girl like me, my age, what will we need? Because reality is, if we're not given what we need, we're going to go elsewhere and potentially wind up in a space that's not fit for us. So that was the moment where I said, I don't want to do it like this anymore. Because it was actually kind of depressing. Like going into a store and shopping is supposed to be fun. And it was overwhelming at times, especially when you didn't find what you were looking for because it wasn't for you.
Now, when you mentioned that, it brings me to another point of the Muslim fashion industry, especially for women, and how now it's been co-opted and it's being used by popular brands. We will not give play here on this platform, but popular brands have tapped into the Muslimah market, the dollar. How do you feel about that?
I feel like the concept is a great idea that you're now seeing Muslim women on the scene, mainstream media. I think that that's beautiful because this is a big moment for us because that was not a thing in the past. You didn't see us at all.
Sure.
So I appreciate that part. Okay, I'm not going to be completely unappreciative and grateful. But then from the other side, I feel like the opportunities, so the market is very undersaturated. And in addition to that, there's not a lot of play on this industry. However, from statistics through learning and educating myself on what this consumer is, it's like over a $200 billion market between how much money Muslims actually spend in apparel.
Muslimahs.
Muslims, period.
Okay.
But you have to keep in mind the women are the main ones who buy and purchase for the whole household.
Exactly.
So in general, we're spending a lot of money on apparel, and realistically, how much of that market do we share? Very, very, very small amount. So the opportunity is very much there. The conversation just needs to be had, and we need to start building these type of Muslim-owned businesses to then actually begin to saturate the market, because we are completely undersaturated at this time. And they know that. They know that.
So that's why they're tapping into the market, so they can start grabbing that dollar amount and start tapping into the dollar amount.
But here's another part I want to also add too. Before they were fully aware, so the paperwork said what it said, but before you started to see us, they still were in denial of the idea that this was a market, that we actually existed, right? So I started in 2017. The conversation was completely different. So now capital and funding is being given to modest wear businesses. that wasn't really a conversation a couple years ago. But they're starting to actually visibly see, oh, this is really a money maker. So you're seeing where capital is being given to these type of brands, but it's still very small amount. But I believe the more that we continue to grow, they will be able, it would be impossible to ignore that they can profit from this market by just simply engaging and adding us more into the conversation, if anything.
Yeah. Now, from my observation as a man in the fashion industry, and just even participating or just looking at conversations amongst Muslims about the fashion industry, there is also discrepancy about models or representation.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about that?
You're asking me some very interesting questions that I've listened. Representation. The representation of the typical Muslim woman has always been the Arab woman.
Right.
We know this. It's not a hit. It's not a throw. It's not a push. It's just a reality. When you say Muslim woman, it instantly goes to the Arab Muslim woman. So we're not in Saudi Arabia.
Correct.
We are in America, and then there's so many Muslims all over the place that populate. Actually, Asia has more Muslim as far as
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, so they're not even represented. Maybe where they are, but in general, you don't really see many. But the representation needs to change, especially as a Black Muslim woman. Again, Black women are dominating right now in so many different avenues and so many different business, so many industries. So you're starting to see us more, again, especially from an influencer perspective, especially from like visuals are concerned. But it needs to just be more diversity, and it definitely needs to be there definitely needs to be a visual where if my daughter, because this is not just for me, this is for those girls who's coming after me, because I'm not 15 anymore. Right. But there are 15-year-olds who are looking, and what do they see? Right. Anything that you see, you imagine and put yourself in that space. If you don't see it, you can't necessarily believe it. So it's necessary that the representation expands. As a Black Muslim woman, my company is for everyone, including those who are not Muslim, who just like modest fashion. But I needed to be very, very, very clear of who I am and also what I stand for and who I'm pushing. And that person looks like me, because there's so many other girls who need that representation and they don't have enough of it.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that leads me to my next question about Project Runway.
Yeah.
And you being selected to participate in that, how did that happen? And how did it make you feel throughout the process of being, from my outfit, I didn't watch the whole show. But maybe that's just me. I'm not into those things, but like that. But how did that make you feel in terms of being the only Black Muslim woman, and probably the only Muslim woman on that show? Yeah. I mean, of course, on the set, there was predecessors that set the precedence before you, but obviously, just from your perspective, how did that make you feel?
So I had a mix of emotions. I didn't really speak about the experience, but it was something that for sure I said that I was going to speak about eventually, because it was a very emotional experience in ways that were amazing, and then in some instances where it felt extremely icky. So I kind of backed away when it was in its limelight because of all of the emotions that were going on. But now I am ready to have some of these type of conversations regarding it and get a little bit more raw and to the core versus.
Please, because I mean, I just think that was an interesting dynamic. Yeah.
So again, 2018 is when that filming started, when that whole process started. Again, a little bit different. The tone was a little bit different than what it is right now. Every single year, every month, every single day matters as far as what exciting, because I'm gonna say what I'm gonna save
Say
a
what you
little
wanna
bit.
say.
You know, I'm gonna save a little bit for
Okay.
when I go live and have a deeper conversation. But I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna go into this much. I was contacted, and they wanted me to be a contestant. That was for sure a fact. I think they were looking for diversity, definitely.
Of course.
That is a part of the quota.
Of course.
So that part felt amazing because I know that there's thousands, hundreds, however many people who sign up. But actually being on set and making it very clear as to what my restrictions and limitations were, it looked very different from what the rest of the crew were used to or what they were doing. So a lot of times it felt very isolated because again, there's certain things I have to stand on. Well, I don't have to stand on it, but in my lifestyle, I stand on certain things.
Right.
So there were moments where I'm like, do I say what I need to say or do I not and just let this go? But it's like, no, I have to because my lifestyle, the way that I live on a daily basis does not look like this. They need to know this so I'm comfortable. But making me a little bit more comfortable means that it might make others a little bit uncomfortable, especially when they don't understand the points behind it. I can say that the team, the other designers that I happened to be with on this particular episode, they were nice, but I found myself often having to explain certain reasons why I did or did not do certain things. So, I mean, it kind of was like eyeballish. You know what I mean? So anything that a person doesn't understand or they don't see, it's like, we don't really know, but we'll let her do her thing. But it leaves you as that one person. The elephant who's continuously in the room, especially if you're making mention, because you can just go along with whatever's happening. But that's not really how I move. I'm pretty raw. I like to be pretty open about things. So it made stuff sometimes a little icky. And those were moments. Sometimes it felt a little
confliction. Were you conflicted?
I don't know, conflicted, but like. I guess conflicted between do I need to say this or do I just be quiet and let it slide? Right. And again, 2018, the conversation of modest wear, they don't want to hear. It sounds cool. It definitely is really, really good for diversity purposes. But are you actually ready to acknowledge it? Like to where it's taken seriously. I don't think that they were ready for that moment. I don't think so.
Now, would you say 2021? Fast forward a couple years, has the industry changed?
Definitely the industry has changed. Has Project Runway changed? I'm not exactly sure. But industry-wise, absolutely, because you now see there's even more women coming up in Forbes, coming up in different magazines, coming up in different runways that we did not see before. So definitely the conversation is being had. We're moving along. We're taking on new strides. But I don't think, everywhere that you go might not necessarily be where you need to be, but there's another space for you. So would I do TV again? Absolutely. Yeah. I think my personality, I can handle it. I can handle TV again. But would Project Runway necessarily be the TV show that I would aim for? No. I would aim for something that's looking for a little bit, or that's more open to diversity versus just saying for the visual purposes of diversity. That's the best way to put it.
So what are some of the short-term goals for your brand moving forward?
Short-term goals, we started production this year, which was one of my all-time goals, just overall for the business, because me as the designer, I've also been the seamstress and making a bunch of roles, but actually going through designs, making designs, preparing the garments. And I don't know that, like from a customer perspective, how much work that actually requires. I don't think that people understand that. So I was happy to bridge over to production. So now we're just taking the designs and we're moving it forward. That's my goal anyway. I've never said that I wanted to be a designer. A seamstress. My goal and my objective and my creativity in mind is geared towards design. So the short-term goal, production, getting the flow and scheduling of production laid out in a way that business is flowing smoother because we are still starting out with production. So that was a goal, and I'm happy and grateful to say that I've reached it. But now the next step is strategizing with production, preparing for scaling with production. So there's a lot of other things that come along. It's like I didn't know. I mean, I thought I had a clue, but now there's these new things and new strides and new tests that come along with this next step, and it looks. I mean, I'm grateful because it's scaling up, but it's a lot of work. So the end of the year is production, scheduling production, and we'll have some new looks, some new ideas, some new designs coming out. We're also going to be focusing in on a fabric haul sale that'll be continuing throughout the end of this month because, this month is a bunch of sale times.
Sure.
December, we're going to be heading into where we're launching new actual collection production-wise. And then we have, for next year, I'm going to be adding some additional pieces for those who are interested in the modest wear business. So I want to be able to be a resource for those sisters because I know that, again, with us being more visual and us having a representation, I see that we're having businesses, we're starting businesses, and I want them to know what I've already figured out, whether it be from the production perspective, from the media side. I want to kind of give them what I already know so they don't have to go through those same things that I went through. That's launching next year. So I'm excited about that.
I mean, I think that's such a good idea, mentorship. And I want to dial it back some, just because I know we have a few more questions. But I just want to dial it back some, just to go back. Did you have any, what was the role of the pioneering sisters in the community who were seamstresses, who were doing all of these things prior to Hijabipop, prior to all these other brands that are now existing? Did you have any type of sisters you looked up to, or any type of guidance or mentorship from any?
So my mother and father, they had a small business and they made clothing. I think that whatever they had going, it just came through the blood because it was more so me just watching them, not necessarily them teaching me anything per se. But I remember watching my mother make certain things, and I just will watch. I'm really observant. So I would say from that perspective, I think that was kind of like a branding point in my brain somewhere all the way back. Moving forward, again, when I launched, it was far and in between. In Philly, there are a few seamstresses who I can say, okay, we were doing it. But branding per se, not necessarily. That local seamstress who just makes everyone's clothes.
Yeah, they're just local, known in Philly, but not known across the country. But the
branding part, where we're actually focusing on branding, business, growing business, creating names, attempting to be a staple, attempting to actually get into the mainstream, not so much. So that was something, again, a lack of resources made me say, I want to be a resource. So I gotta say it wasn't much to really look to, but that's where the research and the searching and trying to figure it out came in at, because I went through a lot of business programs and none were focused on necessarily modest fashion, but that is what had me say, because every program is going to tell you who's your target market. They want to know what's the research on them, what's the psychology of that person, where are they coming from, is this actually a valid idea? So all of that is what got me where it's like, okay, that was kind of the ammos to get me where I know who this girl is and I know where we need to go. Now, I've always seen Hijabipop, or more so me, Asma Bibi, as a designer of this, as someone who is attempting to be a resource for the people who come after me. And not just from a sense of just speaking on it, but actually where we made the moves to where this was built, and now you have something to look at for the next person who's coming. Because I don't want to bring anybody down. Our parents did the best job that they could. But I think that with the with technology coming into play, it had kind of allowed for us to push through the conversation and actually start moving in action. I can say were a lot of seamstress when I was younger, but again, to say 40, 50, 60 years from that point, what was established from that as far as community is concerned? Because why don't we not have factories? Why are we not having, like, why do we not have buildings and things like that for that next upcoming Muslim girl to say, okay, I can come here because this is a resource, and then this will help fuel me for the next step. A lot of stops went missing, and for that reason, again, I see what we need. It's just time to put those resources into play.
Excellent. So that's now long term.
That's the long term.
So that's a long term.
Very much a long term.
Okay.
A long term. Because I don't want this to just be about Hijabipop. After a certain point, it becomes more than that. It becomes literally, because this is a lifestyle. The way that we dress, the way that we live, the way that we move, the way I communicate with my customers, it's a lifestyle. Anyone who lives it, they know exactly what's going on. It doesn't stop past my brand. We need to keep it going because there's people coming after that. I don't have any children yet, but I need them to be very, for sure, very confident in who they are as a Muslim woman. And there needs to be things in place for them to be able to know that they have a place to do whatever it is that they want to do.
Excellent. And then how, because we are on the aspect of community, we're talking about community now, how can the community support you in those short-term or long-term goals so we can reach those? Because we're talking about the greater community now.
Yeah.
We identify where there were ways that we fell short, for lack of a better term, we fell short. There was a lack of resources. Now here's Hijabipop coming on the scene. You have these great ideas, you have a vision, and how can we support that?
I think the support comes from, again, those pioneers, them being mentors, maybe coming in to show what they know. There is a sister actually in Atlanta. We did a documentary. It was called Adorn, and it kind of highlighted the many different women, the pioneers of the fashion industry. A lot of them came from Atlanta. So we have a lot of seamstress. I would love to sort of like partner up with them and maybe even get other young girls who are involved or who have that skill or interested in that skill, and kind of bridging the gap between what areas that we actually need to fill, and then being a part of that, in addition to being resources for the program that I'm attempting to launch for next year.
How can the brothers, us men, brothers who, how can we support? We want to support Hijabipop, reach our goal. How can we support that?
No matter what, I think support is always going to be financial, because that's always the barrier between that next step. So community donating, fundraising, things like that. Men, just making sure that you are raising Muslim women, getting married to Muslim women. And so we're fueling this community so we can fill in the gaps for what is necessary and what's needed. That's what I want from y'all first. That's the first thing. Second, again, if there's women, there's children, there's wives, there's cousins, there's sisters, you can always come and support the brand. That's helpful as well. In addition, there's always things to do, I guess, handiwork. So I'm open to that too, if we're discussion for those who would like to help.
What kind of handiwork are you talking about? Construction?
All of that. Yeah. There's always different projects, so I'm open to that as well.
Okay. So we're looking for handymen, those who are handy in construction, to help build out this project.
Yes.
Because obviously I'm seeing in my head a fulfillment center.
Definitely,
some sort of
definitely a warehouse.
Warehouse kind of.
A warehouse and manufacturing the distribution center. Yep. And it can all be in the same area. Yep. Warehouse.
Right. So yeah. So now we have to raise capital. Have you, and obviously, we want to, be able to, and that's something that, we need to discuss too, is the problem of raising capital within our communities for projects like this. Getting behind someone like yourself and others who have these great ideas and actually going to put it to work. But you guys need the push. Yeah. It's the push that makes it roll. So you heard it first here. Hijabipop is with us. Go follow her on Instagram. Yeah, Hijabipop. She's everywhere. I mean, her videos there is going viral. I mean, you can give up all the other handles that you have. I know you're good with the branding. Excellent.
So on every platform is Hijabipop. That's Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn. The website is www.hijabipop.com. We're currently actually running a 50% off sale, and we're going to continue with sales all month long. So y'all make sure y'all grab whatever you're going to grab, because most likely what you see is not going to be restocking. That's all the handles. We made sure we kept it very simple. You can find us everywhere with that same exact name. You can even Google my name, Asma, Asmabibi, and you'll be able to learn a little bit more about me as the designer behind all of this work.
Excellent. And don't forget, 50% off sale. So brothers, you buy something for your wives, your sisters, your daughters, whatever the case, and your mothers, whatever the case may be. Share, like, subscribe, follow the sister.
Definitely share, like, subscribe, because that's always helpful, and that's free.
That's free 99. You don't have to buy anything if you don't want to buy anything. So please do that. And we look forward to working with Sister Asma and with her goals to reach her goals here on this platform. We take it upon ourselves to highlight people like yourself and the projects that you all do, to give you all a platform to speak about it. We want to provide this media as like a tool for you all. So feel free any point of time to, you're a family now. Yeah. Anyone that comes on New Freedom Exchange is family. So we consider everyone family. So welcome, Sister Hijabipop, to the family. We're happy to have you, and we hope that people who are listening and will listen to this recording, that you share it, you like, you subscribe in New Freedom Exchange, but you also go ahead and go read up on Sister Hijabipop and her story. Get to know her. She has a very good personality, very personable person. I've seen her run her branding on IG. It's genius, by the way. It's very genius. So you got to give it to the sister, give her props. So inshallah, thank you all for tuning in. If you don't have any questions, the engineer can shoot us the questions if there are any questions in the queue. No questions in the queue. But so, all right. So again, thank you all for tuning in. It's Imam Bilal, live here at New Freedom Exchange, Atlanta Masjid of Al-Islam. Thank you all for letting us use your library facility. Thank you to Sister Hijabipop for giving her time and her precious time to be here. And we hope that what we said today is of benefit, and that if anything that came out of any of our mouths, if it was bad, it was offensive, that please forgive us. And anything of benefit comes from the Most High Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And with that, yes, question?
Marsha in the building. She said, Assalamu alaikum, sis.
Cool. Sister Program Director, Sister Marsha.
She said, wish I could be there with you.
Yes.
I'll be sure to check out your site.
Yes, Sister Marsha.
Check it out.
Yes. You'll like it, Sister Marsha. Thank you for popping in. And thank you all for tuning in. For those who have tuned in, again, like and share. And until next time, peace. Assalamu alaikum.
I don't know about you, but if you're not paying attention, Muslims in America need some transformation quick. They need some liberation quick. They need freedom quick. And if we were to look and research the Muslim lands, we will find colonization. And where you find colonization, you find the mind of the colonizer amongst the people. And until we detach ourselves, until the oppressor can no longer find you in himself, he has power over you. So all of us in here, inshallah, we're all Muslim. We're making salat, you reciting Quran. But if you have the chains of colonization on your mind, then you are the Quran in chains.
Time time is now, I've been waiting. I'm too nice, been patient. Patients be waiting for the checkup. They need me to write them a prescription of the antidote of codeine they be mixing. Double strength they be fixing. Propaganda got my people screwed up. Well, I'm here now, came to give you tough love. Love without limits. Yeah, you heard about us, it's the indigo. Vibrating high, fine, writing like a calligraphy pen in my mind. Signs come naturally, cause I know who I am and who I'm meant to be. No control of me, I've been set myself free. Got a railroad, travel back through. Cause in the darkness, shining bright, I'm the moon. In the darkness, shining bright, I'm the moon. In the darkness, shining bright, I'm the moon. Born to light the way so my people get through. Born to light the way so my people get through. Move. If you don't want no problem, stop killing us, gonna come back to haunt ya. Ancestors lurking, we watching, we see you. Every plan that you building, gonna fall through, gonna fall through. Foundation lacking, knock you off your pedestal, cause you knew one day I would rule. Worth more than 40 acres and a mule. Worth more than 40 acres and a mule. Africans, we own it. Revolution will not be televised. It will be uploaded. Revolution will not be televised. It will be uploaded. Revolution will not be televised. It will be uploaded. Revolution will not be televised. It will be uploaded. It will be uploaded. Revolution will not be televised. It will be uploaded. Revolution will not be televised. It will be uploaded. Revolution will not be televised.